See, God is asking for a commitment, not a contribution. The cliche, the Sunday school, the phrase, and we've all heard this, or it's been said to us, or we may have said it, is that, well, Jesus gave it all, so we should too. But it's not just a cliche, because Scripture backs it up, because it says that Christ died for all, that those who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him who for their sake died and was raised. So it's not just a sacrifice, right? This idea of a living sacrifice is that you and I are giving our life to God because he gave his life to us. And so we constantly lay it down. And this idea that we constantly lay it down, because look, we're really good about laying things down. We're also really good about picking things back up, right? Everyone go through their closet, and you have this closet full of things that you haven't worn in 7 years. And you say it's time to clean out the closet. And you go into the closet and you look and you say, it's like Christmas all of a sudden. I forgot I had this shirt. I'm going to wear this again. Right? And then it goes on for another 6 months and you haven't worn this shirt. But what happens is we do that things with our life. We recognize that there's something that we need to give to God, and we put it down. But when we start to really look at our life, we go, well, I can fix this. I can do this. I can work with this. I don't need to give this to God. Or, you go to Goodwill, and just as you're putting it down, you think, should I? Will I need that someday? And we do that with God too. We're willing to lay it down, but we're also like, maybe I need it. I'll just hang on to this for a little longer, Lord. It's good. It's good. I'll do something. I'm going to do something with this. Sure you will. It's funny. I can't think of anything I've ever given to Goodwill and going, man, where's that shirt that I never wore? There's a yak sweater. Yeah. I wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was hilarious. I can't believe. If I ever see a yak hoodie, I should have everyone put their names in it. So, why'd you give this away? It's probably a visitor. But here's the thing. He says we're called to be a living sacrifice for God. He says, but then he defines it, a holy and acceptable sacrifice. Here's this. God does not want leftovers. Okay? In the Old Testament, an acceptable offering was one that was spotless, right? Which actually made it more valuable. There were some people who would take an old lamb, or maybe one with an injury, and they would lay that before the Lord. But when they do that, was that a sacrifice, or were they just giving it to Goodwill? I don't need this, Lord. You can have it. That's not how that works. That kind of sacrifice says more about what we think of God than if we brought nothing at all. So when we keep back the best for ourselves and give God what is convenient or costs us nothing, or worse, that actually benefits us by getting rid of it, it's no longer a sacrifice or an act of worship. The Old Testament tells a story of King David, and King David went to go buy a field so that he could offer sacrifices to God. It's one of my favorite stories in the Bible. It's very simple. He goes to this field and he starts having a business transaction with this guy. What do you want for this field? And the owner of the field wanted to give David the land, but David refused. Now, I get it. They're having this transaction. The guy's like, hey, you're the king. You can have this. And he's like, no, I'm going to offer sacrifices here. And while you and I might agree that getting something for free always seems like a good idea, especially real estate, David said this, I will not offer burnt offerings to the Lord, my God, that cost me nothing. Okay? And David knew something out of this that we need to understand, which is this, that true worship and sacrifice is going to cost us something. Very simple truth, but true worship and true sacrifice is going to cost us something. It might be money or time or possessions, but usually the cost is much higher. Pride, comfort, control. And really, that is more than most people want to pay. The fact is, however, that we will always have more of what we lay down than what we hold back. Okay, let me say that again. We will always have more of what we lay down than what we hold back. If God's math says that by keeping things you lose it and laying it down you gain it, then the very things that you hope to protect are in the most danger. The things that you're trying to control will be the things that you have the least amount of power over, and the things that you don't trust God with will be the idols that he cuts down and chops into firewood for the altar. But a living sacrifice places itself on the altar only to find that it's on the altar where real life happens.